Well, good afternoon, educators. Myself, Shoma Malik, and I represent DS Digital Pvt Ltd, an Eschan Group company, and head the digital business of the same group, DS Digital. I, on behalf of our esteemed organization, welcome all the schools participating from India and abroad. I'm honored to host this webinar, bringing virtual classroom alive, which has been the need of the day. Welcome all the schools participating. And in the same respect, I am pleased to invite you with Ms. Shalini Nambiar. She is highly efficient in this domain and possesses rich 26 years of experience in education. She is a big name when we talk about VIBGYOR Group, GD Goenka Public School, Heritage Schools, GEMS Edition, and more. I would request Shalini ma'am to take it over from here. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Shalini ma'am, can you just come forward?
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And I'm really happy, and thank you so much, everybody, for having me here. And what I'm here to tell you is, of course, a lot of stories and a lot of strategies that how do you make the virtual classrooms, bring them alive. Because what is very important is to understand that we are going through difficult times and COVID-19 is here to stay. We do not know when the schools will open and how it is going to open and what will be the situation. But at the moment, this has become normal, and we need to be really good at it and understand what is the difference between holding a real face-to-face class and a virtual class, and try and bridge that gap as much as possible. I understand very well teaching is a very private profession, and we are not used to the cameras and the glares, and we are more used to teaching in under one roof, all 40 kids, and now 40 kids are in their homes and sitting with their parents sometimes, and we need to teach them. So how do we make it engaging? But before I move on to the strategies and tell you a little bit about it, I want to tell you that as an educator, it is very important to reflect that do you teach or do you educate? There is a difference between that. You need to reflect what exactly, when I interview people and I ask them that why you entered this profession, most of us say that I'm very passionate, I'm very happy about kids. But we need to understand that it is very important that we understand the kind of responsibility which is on us, and the kind of, we are next to doctors, like doctors are treating the patients, and we are in the homes of kids, where whatever we do impacts the kids and it goes further to impact their families. So I want to just share a screen and show you something which is extremely important before we move on. I hope you all can. This is the jar of your life, and I want you to understand you need to fill it with intention. Because first and foremost, it's extremely important as a teacher that you be happy. You be energized. You have that ounce of energy because you are the one who's giving out the vibes to the children. And if you are not happy, you are not content, you will never be able to do so in the classroom. Or, I mean the virtual classroom at the moment. So this is a story about a professor who, went to a class. I'm sure some of you have heard it, but it is very important to understand its significance. And he held a big jar in front of the class, and he took some golf balls and put it in the glass. Of course, the glass looked full, and he asked the students, is the glass full? The children said, of course it is full. Then he took some small pebbles and he put it in the jar. And again, because the small pebbles found places in between the golf balls, and the children said, it is full. And then he took some sand and he put it. Sand also found place, and children again said, it is full. Now, what is the indication of it is, you need to understand that what is the golf balls represent, this whole jar represents your life. And the golf ball represents the most important part of your life, which is your family and you yourself. I've been a teacher for almost 26 years. I mean, even when I was heading, I'm a teacher. And for a teacher, it is very important that I take care of myself before I take care of the children. I need to be happy when I enter the classroom, whether it's a virtual or it's a real class. I need to be full of energy. The small pebbles represent things which are not so important, like your money, your car. You may be having a limousine, but it's all lying right now. So it doesn't make a difference whether what kind of car you have. And the sand represents things which are not at all important in your life, which is like maybe what we are doing right now is dusting, mopping, sweeping. Yeah, they are important, but not so important. You need to, as a teacher, prioritize your life, that what is most important for me as a teacher? Why am I here? What is my profession? What is my job? I find a lot of people stressed out. Of course, it's a time to stress out. You fall in a pool and you are going to get wet. You're not going to come out dry. But how can I not feel the stress and make my virtual classes impactful? We hear a lot of things being spoken by parents. This is not good, that is not good. But yeah, there was somebody who put up a video, and aptly so. We are not trained to teach children at their homes, but we are making an effort, and we can make it very, very engaging as a teacher. Of course, there are digital tools available. You have books and you have a lot of material. But I feel that to me, all those, the teacher is the most important thing in a classroom. Whatever tools you are using, they will only have an impact if you are full of energy. You are creating that excitement amongst the children. So we just move to the next slide, which I want you to see. Teaching is not a job as an educator. It is a calling. It's a passion. It's a commitment. You need to be committed to your profession. I can't get up in the morning and say, oh, I'm tired, so much of work. You need to get up in the morning and tell yourself, and give yourself a pat and a big virtual hug that I'm going to be the best teacher ever there. Because once you tell that self-affirmation is important, and we are living in a world where nobody's going to tell you you're good, right? You need to tell yourself. So it is a passion. It is, you need to understand the difference between teaching and educating. Do you teach? A teacher is the one who gives content, who gives concepts, who provides what is required for the academic upliftment of a child. But what is an educator? Educator is the one who makes a difference, who illuminates, who enlightens, who inspires. You need to reflect. How would you like to be remembered maybe 20 years hence? Would you like children to hide their face? Oh my God, the teacher is coming. Or would you like somebody to say, oh, she is the one who made a difference in my life? And that is very important to understand, that who am I? Am I a teacher or am I an educator? Differentiate the two. And what is more important right now is educating the child. COVID-19, actually, if we look at it from the education side, it's a great opportunity to bring to, to the platform, to bring to life all those things which we have been talking about, that 21st century skills need, problem solving, collaboration, blah, 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 blah. Everything is possible now in the virtual classroom in a very, very easy, simple way. And that is what, so first and foremost, please tell yourself, I'm an educator. I'm not just a teacher, I'm an educator who educates. Because we teachers are supposed to be like magicians. I've been a teacher, so you go with a certain plan in the classroom and suddenly you see the children are not up to it. So you change the plan. Because what is very important is, what is the outcome I'm expecting from a class? What is my objective of teaching a particular thing? Suppose I'm teaching 2 + 2 = 4. What is my objective? Do I want them to learn the math, or do I want them to understand, or do I want them to be able to apply it in real life? So it's extremely important that you distinguish between the two. I know I can't hear you, I can't see you, and I love seeing people, but it's fine. You're seeing the screen on top of me, on the, you can see the screen very clearly. Just quickly in 30 seconds, you have a diary or a pen or whatever, write down as many words as you can see. And if you can just give me the number on the chat, and so that I'm able to see what you are seeing. So if you can just do it, it'll be very, very easy for me to understand. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So just put it on the chat. What is it you saw? How many things you saw? How many numbers? What are the words you saw? I hope you saw it. Yeah, so somebody is saying, can you put in the numbers, please? Yeah, quickly. Sharmila, yeah, Saida, more than 7, 20, 12, 9. Everybody is saying that. What is more important? This is a very important difference between a real class and a virtual class. I did not tell you exactly what I wanted you to see. Some of you might have started reading the words and writing it. That usually happens. A smarter one, somebody wrote 47, might have just counted the number of words in that slide. So extremely very important step in a virtual classroom is, am I communicating to them what I intend to? Are they listening to me? Are they understanding? Because there is a gap. It's not like a real class where if a child is not listening, I'm aware. Here, they're very smart. They can put their picture and they can go and sleep. Or they can go and do something. And you are thinking, wow, you're calling them, but you can't control their home environment. So what is important is that very, very important to understand the kind of communication. What are you trying to imply? With what you are saying, is your question clear to the child? Because what they are going to understand is what they think from their perception. We're just going to go back to the screen to understand. Yeah, just give me a second, please. What motivates you? Extremely important to think that what is it that makes you a teacher? You know, a lot of us, because unless you're able to reflect, whatever difference you're trying to make in a virtual class will not be possible. You need to understand, what is it that motivates me? Is it, you can put it on your chat so that I can read it, some of them. It's very, very important to understand what is it that helps you, you know, that brings that smile on your face when you hear about a school. When you want to go, what is it that inspires you? A lot of people say children, but what happens to that passion after 1 hour or 2 hours of the class? We start screaming, we start shouting, we say, oh my God, where have I landed? So what I want you to do is, this is a very stressful time. Understand what is your passion. If you're passionate about teaching, you're never going to go wrong. It's perfectly fine. You may commit blunder, you may make mistakes, but that's fine. But if you're passionate about it, you're going to be an excellent, excellent teacher. Yes, practical science with children, enthusiasm of kids, passion of teaching. Nobody wrote parents, right? We love parents also, right? Okay, that was just to make you laugh. But what is important is you understand what motivates you, because once you're able to know yourself, identify what is it within you which is helping you reach out, it'll make things much, much simpler. The curiosity that I'm able to bring out in students, excellent, because you need to do that. As I told you in the first 2 slides, that we are educators. We are not just teaching. And you must understand as a teacher a very important thing, that the impact of education is long-term. It's not short-term. Not that I'm teaching for them to just pass an exam. No, I'm not. I'm teaching that when they grow up, they are able to deal with a lot of things which they face. Because somewhere, whatever we teach has an impact. Sometimes you might feel children are not listening. But in the subconscious mind, there is something which is helping them listen. You need to learn how to balance that. There are 2 things, right? You are an important person because you are a teacher, and you have to balance the children and make sure they're engaged. It's a tough job. It leads to a lot of stress. So I want to tell you a little story to make you understand. So this teacher was going through a lot of stress. So she goes to a school principal and she says, I want to be happy. I'm getting fed up, housework, cleaning, washing, cooking, handling my husband, and then virtual classes. So the principal, of course, this is an imaginary story. I don't want you to move out. She sends him to a monk, and the monk lives in a big, huge monastery. And she says that you can go there and learn the secret of happiness. So the teacher lands in the monk's monastery, and the monk gives her a spoon in which he puts 2 drops of oil, and he tells her that you can, take a round of the monastery and tell me, what do you see? So she went around and came back after half an hour. The monk said, so what did you see? She said, I was so busy trying to handle that the oil doesn't fall from the spoon that I did not see anything. So he says, too bad, you need to go again because I want you to observe what is around. So she takes again another round, and she sees now gardens, beautiful pictures, a lot of, beautiful flowers. And she comes back and she says that, I saw this, I saw that. And she explains the entire thing. So the monk says, where are the drops of the oil? She said, I was so busy trying to observe that I dropped it. And this is what sometimes as teachers we do. We get so engrossed in teaching our curriculum, we forget about that individual child. That child was sitting quietly and was not listening, was not understanding. And we need to go beyond. So that is why I'm saying you're not a teacher, you're an educator, where we make an impact on each and every child who enters our classroom. Somewhere we need to make a difference. That when children see you, they say, okay, she is the one who made a difference in my life. And you don't know sometimes, you may be a science teacher, you may be a pre-primary teacher, you may be a grade 8 teacher, you may be in a different country, but we all make a difference in a child's life, and that is very, very important to understand. I'm just going to go back to the screen because so you need to understand what motivates you. Just a little self-assessment, you can put it on the chat because I want to know before I move on, how do you make your virtual classes impactful? A self-assessment, a fist indicates that you are still thinking, so you can write fist there because I can't see you. A finger, frustrated, 2 fingers, surviving, 3 fingers, smoothing, swimming smoothly. You are very happy with the way you're taking the classes. So I just want to put it in the chat, please. Where are you? I want to know what level you are. 2 fingers, 3 fingers. Some are putting 3. Yeah, excellent. 2 fingers, 3, 2. So nobody is at 1. That is really, really good. I think you need to give yourself a big pat on because you have learned to unlearn and move on. What is important to understand now? You are a good teacher. You are teaching, but are the children learning? That is very, very important. Whatever I'm teaching, is the child understanding? If a child, what I have noticed, I've been heading school for almost 19 years and now I've started my own work, but a child who is not doing well in grade 1 or 2 is not doing well till grade 12. And why is that so? Teachers are good, they are teaching, other students are learning. What is the difference? The difference is somewhere in our hurry, to finish the curriculum, we forget about those individual children. We need to focus that there are some children, everybody's interest is different, everybody's perception is different, and are we able to connect with them? Are we able to reach out to them? And in virtual class, it's a challenge because you cannot go to the child and say, hey, listen, you listen to me. The child may be lost. But and another mistake which a lot of teachers do is they mute the classes. Please do not mute. Never mute a virtual class. You are too many, so you need it to be mute, otherwise there'll be too much noise. But what is very important, because you're handling maybe 30, maybe 35, maybe 40, do not mute the children, because once you mute, the first message you are sending the children is, listen, I don't trust you. I know you're going to make noise. You've already, created a sense of distrust with the children, and you've already lost it. Those 30 seconds are very, very important where you build a connect with the child. And in a virtual class, it's more important. So you've already passed on the message to the kid, listen, I don't trust you, so I'm muting you and I'm going to be talking. No, it's not like that. I'm just going to go back to the screen because there are some important things I want you to go through it. You need to understand, very important first, before we go on to the virtual or the non-virtual, how do children learn? Because in a virtual classroom, this becomes more important. Children learn with their relationship with you. You know, if there are a lot of kids who love a good teacher, and even if she's teaching bad, they just absorb whatever she is doing because they love her. So the relationship with the kid is very, very important. They learn best by actively engaging. Now, how do I engage him in a virtual classroom? I want to complete my lesson. I want to teach. You have a handful of digital aids which are available, right? And children are smarter than you. They know much more about it. Now, children, the third very important thing is children learn by being involved in their learning. If they are involved, if they are feeling connected, if they can relate it to the real life. It's a very funny story. Like when I was in school, we were taught probability, math. I think it's taught in somewhere 8th or 7th, and I didn't realize its usefulness. I mean, why was I taught? And when my daughter got married and I had invited the guests and wanted to order the food, then I realized that the usefulness of probability, which I studied in school. So very important is when you ask teachers, okay, why are you teaching history? What is its importance? You need to first reflect whatever subject you are teaching, what is its importance in a child's life? Because if you are able to communicate that to the child, children understand logical reasoning. They don't want to hear a lecture. You're not doing good in maths. You better sit down and study. No, I'm not interested. Why? I don't understand numbers. You need to create that interest in the child. And that is why it is extremely important. You know, we are very good in noise. What about noise? Somebody said. Yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you, how you can control noise in a virtual classroom in my next few slides, because I don't think so. If children are engaged, they are going to make noise. Children make noise. We need to keep a virtual classroom. Disagree with the statement that we need to keep a virtual classroom unmuted. Yes, you need to keep your virtual classroom, because how will you collaborate otherwise? How will you know whether the children have learned or no? Otherwise, it's a very teacher-centric class. You're only talking. So I'll be giving you certain strategies which might interest you and you might like. So I'll go back to the screen. You need to understand that these are the three very, very important things. How do children learn? And let me tell you, a good teacher never has discipline issues, and all of us are good. And we must reflect and we must agree on that. You need to tell yourself, I'm good, I'm making an effort. When you're putting in hard work, of course, it's going to make a difference. You have to understand the difference between a real class, a face-to-face class, and a virtual class. In a face-to-face class, a class duration is fixed, so children know, okay, after math it's English. Virtual class, schools are sending timetable, but I'm a very progressive kind of an educator. I've been of the opinion that if you give children the choice, if you probably make a timetable, a class teacher sits with the children virtually and tells them, okay, what is it you're going to like studying first and then second? It takes little time, but I have done it in a real classroom. It is possible, because what happens and the children collaborate, because you need to teach them not only academics, but life skills. So when children collaborate, they usually come up with a conclusion. There'll be disturbance, they will be talking, they will be creating a little ruckus. But generally, I'm sure some of you will agree, some of the kids will come up and tell the others, shut up, yeah, we need to do like this, and you get an opportunity. So in a virtual class, the big difference is you can extend the class time. It depends entirely on you, how you're going about it. Face-to-face classes are typically teacher-driven and teacher-centric. Now, virtual classes, that's what I said, when you mute them and you are only talking, it is a teacher-centric class. How do I make a virtual class student-centric? And that's what I'm here to help you with, because virtual classroom needs to give children the freedom to create, experiment, explore, engage, collaborate, and a lot of things can be done. Now, in a face-to-face learning environment can be sometimes dull and fun is kept to a minimum, to avoid discipline. But a learning environment in a virtual classroom can be very stimulating because it allows the teacher to have a control on the class. In a virtual class, a teacher can have control by engaging each student. I always tell the teachers that when you're taking a virtual class, how do you begin a class, right? You need to be addressing each and every child, take their names. There are 40 kids or 35 kids. It takes a minute. You need to look at them, and the biggest asset a teacher has is a hands and eyes. If you're using these resources well, you will be able to create an engaging class because you have the technical tools to help you. But you need to be addressing them. And the first thing, you must understand another thing. They are going through a lot of stress. Just the same way you are going through stress, right? We are all stressed out because COVID-19 is here knocking at our doors. We don't know, what will happen tomorrow. And we are all stressed out. In our subconscious, it's there, It's the numbers are increasing. We are seeing it all around. The same way children, not knowing the complete situation, are stressed out. So you need to first unwind them, help them calm down. A stressed child or a stressed teacher can never help in the learning. How do I calm a child? You need to talk to them. Okay, hi Somo, how are you? Hi Navinder, hi Diksha, hi Veena, I hope you're doing well. Just take their names. Oh, you're looking very nice, Pyari, I love your sari. Whatever little that one-to-one engagement with each child is very, very important because that makes them tell, that makes the child feel you're not wasting time, you're connecting with them. It is very important. It's not about like, okay, you can teach the class like this, you can teach the class like that. If you're not engaged, nobody is learning. If mute children can unmute, children are going to be smart, but if you are interesting, if you're exciting, if you have a lot of stories, if you're a magician, you're an artist, they will listen to you. I can promise you that because I've been a teacher. I'm not an administrator who's never been in the class. I started my career as a music teacher with nursery kids, and I've gone up to grade 12, teaching each level. So I have experienced, I know the pains of a teacher. I know it is difficult. Sometimes you want to shout because you really get hyper. But I'm trying to tell you the strategies which work. You need to create that excitement and that energy and that passion amongst the kids. So I'm just going to go back. So what is important is in a face-to-face class, no recording is possible, but here you can record the class and you can share with the kids who are not listening. You can do that. I mean, as we go on, we will talk about it. How can I make a class engaging? Planning is very important. Now, a face-to-face lesson plan is very different than a virtual class plan because what is very important is that you need to mute them to avoid background noise. Yeah, that you can request them, trust them, give them that respect. Tell them that I think there's a noise coming in your background. I request you to mute yourself. And I don't think so any child will say no. What is important is in a face-to-face class, in a virtual class, planning is important. Now, in the planning, what generally we focus is, okay, what are we going to do, right? But what is very important are two things, learning objectives and learning outcome. What is the objective? Why am I teaching this? And what is the outcome I'm expecting? How do I, if I'm teaching them, let's say a lesson in English or a poem, what is the outcome I'm expecting? And in a virtual class, you cannot tell them, okay, listen, now my lesson, I'm going to read, I'm muting you all. Just see, imagine a class like this. I'm going to read it out for you and you tell me, how do you feel? Giving a question before I'm in classroom, you're not listening. Till I look it in your eyes, till I'm engaging you, you're not going to listen to me. You need to be, so planning is very important. And I'll also go, when we go to the planning, we'll just go to the next slide, which is extremely important before we move on to the rest. Flipped classroom. We have all heard of it. Now there are 4 pillars of a flipped classroom. F stands for flexible environment. L stands for learning culture. I stands for intentional content, and P stands for professional educator. So what do we mean by a flexible environment? Flexible environment is children learn when given a choice. So you give them a choice, okay? Because in a virtual classroom, everything is possible. Would you please allow me to record this class? Of course, you can go ahead. I think you have to ask Veena. Veena is Okay. Now, what is very important is that you allow them that they can have choices. That's what I said. When setting a timetable in consultation with the kids really helps. I've done it in a real school. It's possible. It takes a little more effort, but then it is very, very useful, because when children make a choice, they are more responsible and they are more there. They are there, which you want them to be, right? And second thing very important is, yeah, I used to say, let's start. Excellent. L stands for learning culture. Now, the class noise from the house could be. That's what I said. You can request. I will tell you some strategies where you don't need to do all this. I will tell you, because for me, the main thing as a teacher is I need to respect the kids. If I don't respect the kids, they're not going to respect me. Let me tell you very clearly. Why do some children create a nuisance in a class? Because they don't respect you. You need to create that respect, and respect doesn't come from being powerful, from shouting. No, it doesn't. It comes from being calm. It comes when you are at ease with yourself. You know, I mean, in a face-to-face class, whenever the children were noisy, of course they'll be noisy. They want to talk. We're all social animals. I want to talk. You suddenly put a virtual class. The children are meeting their friends after a month. Aren't they going to talk to each other? Give them 5 minutes. It's all right. Because there's, hi, what are you wearing? Wow, yeah, whoa. Let them talk. It's all right. Whenever, I'm being honest, as a school head, whenever I took around a class which was completely quiet, very disciplined, teaching might be very good, but no learning is taking place there because children are not engaged. A noisy class, I'm not saying completely noisy, children are running around, no, where they are engaged, you can make out. Because when the children are engaged, they are learning, they learn. And our intention as an educator is that whatever I'm teaching, they learn, they understand. Otherwise, what is the point? So learning culture, how do we create the learning culture? Now, in a virtual classroom, a flipped classroom is a concept very important. You need to send them, virtual class cannot have shockers that, okay, I'm going to start teaching now this lesson. No, they need to know it beforehand. So we're just going to go back to the screen so that you understand what I'm talking about. Sorry. Yeah, let's just finish this list. We'll just go through it quickly. Plan, online assessment, flipped classroom, collaborate, create excitement, motivate, engage, feedback, record and share, peer learning, discussion forums. This is a very, very important. How can you make a virtual class impactful and engaging? Stay crystal clear with parent communication. We are trained to teach children. We are not trained to teach parents. We are not here to teach parents, right? But most of the time we are teaching parents. That's the funniest. And I know it because I've been a teacher, as I'm telling you again and again. And the parents are telling us how to teach. You must understand, we don't go to a doctor and say, I've got diabetes and I'm going to tell you what kind of medicine you should give me. No, we don't. We respect whatever he gives us is right and we trust him. The same relationship we have to create with the parents. So how can you create that? We need to be crystal clear with parent communication. And this is something I call netiquettes, which I'm going to talk about. So how do I create? You don't want, you're not teaching a parent. In most of the Zoom classes, I am aware because I've done a lot of auditing. You have a parent sitting, observe secretly, yes. But you need to understand that even though I'm doing a lot of parenting sessions, they will be still there. But your focus is not parents. Your focus is the child. So how can you do that? You need to be very clear. Something called netiquettes. Netiquettes are very important. Whenever I'm taking a session with teachers on my own, I always send a mailer with etiquettes, with the rules which needs to be followed. You need to be sitting here. You need to be professionally dressed. You need to come to my class at 10:10. If you're 10 minutes, I will not admit you after this time. You need to send clear, exactly. So with the little ones, you can send it's very nice when a child gets a mail from a teacher, and don't address it to the parent, address it to the child. You have to be a smart teacher. Remember, we are not teaching parents, we are teaching the kid. So when you send a mail, like let's say I take Diksha's name, Dear Diksha, I'm very excited to take the class tomorrow, and these are the certain things which you must follow. Children need to have a clarity. My class will start at 9 o'clock. I need you to be there by 8:50 because I need to admit you, and I will not after that. You need to teach them time management. You cannot let them come in half an hour late. Let the parent shout. You need to be confident of yourself. You're a teacher. You are like a doctor. You're not going to let parents tell you how to teach. We know how we teach, right? We are going to make a difference in your child. We are correct, but we need to. Why are we losing respect? Because we don't respect ourselves and our profession. And that's what hurts me. You need to be very confident. One parent will shout, two parents will shout. What the hell? I know what I teach. Then you say in the etiquettes that whatever, Diksha, it's a real request. Please tell your parents not to come in the Zoom class because I'm there to teach you. Just send it. And if the parents are very keen, what I've been telling teachers is every 15 days hold a virtual class with parents, or allow parents on a particular day, on a Friday, 2 parents are allowed from the class to come, and it'll based on first come first serve. Please send mails. And when you come on my class, it's a request to be professionally dressed. At least the parent will spend time wearing a tie. You need to be clear what you want. I faced this problem in a school where parents just walk all over and they tell you exactly how I should teach and what I should do. No, I'm an educator. I have experience. I have learned. I'm trained for this. I know how to treat your child. You need to listen to me. If you don't listen to me, I can't do anything much to your child. And you send the second very important thing in your etiquettes is send the plan for a week. In this week, this is what I'm going to teach. I'll be teaching you up in a virtual class. You have to create that excitement beforehand. Now, a lot of people, especially in the senior classes, they download a Google video and send it. Okay, fine, you can do that. But tell me exactly, if instead of seeing my face, I put on a video for 10 minutes, are you going to watch? You're going to be bored. You're not going to watch a video of somebody. So I believe a teacher, if you're shy of camera, you all are smart teachers, right? You all have a smartphone. Just record your voice. Tomorrow, I'll be teaching fractions, and this is what I will be covering on day 1, and Wednesday I'll be covering this, and Thursday I'll be covering this, and I want you to read this and come, whatever you want them to read. But remember, the time is very important. For the, till grade 5, I'm not talking about the pre-primary. If there are some pre-primary, I don't think so. The flipped classroom works there because those kids are very, very little. I'm talking about the other one. There has to be, you make a short video. Excellent, Sharad. Excellent. I love that. So when you create a short video of yourself and you send them in a little story, sing-song manner, whatever you want to do, children get excited and they will come for your class. Now, whatever you want them to read and come, like let's say you want them to read an English lesson and come. Because in virtual class, let me tell you one thing, that you cannot start a lesson. You cannot. Virtual classes, most important thing is discussions, debates. So if you mute them, you're not creating an ideal classroom situation. So you have to be able to discuss, okay, I sent you a lesson yesterday, fraction. Now out of 30 kids, as expected, 15 will go through it. I can vouch. 15 will not have gone through it. But don't demean those 15 kids that they haven't gone through it. Let those 15 kids discuss. The others will get, roped into that. You can tell them, okay, you can give your last comment or whatever way you want to engage them. Because the next day, now they realize that I have to read and there is a discussion, the children will be tempted to read and come back. But in a virtual classroom, you can never start a chapter. You can never do it. It has to be a discussion, a debate, a role play, or whatever. Yeah, kindergarten. Kindergarten can be a rhyme which you send to the child. And when you take, I think for the pre-primary, it should be 30 minutes only for 2 days in a week. That's it. Not more. These are very tiny kids. And when you take a class, last time I had a puppet in my hand. Have a puppet. Let the puppet do the whole class. You hide. This is, you can create, you can design. You can do so much. You can have a doll talking. You have to create that excitement in that 30 minutes. Because for the little ones, for the bigger ones, you are there. Your face, your hands, expression. Very, very important. So netiquettes is something which you need to send to the parents so that the parents know that what is expected of them. They don't know. They just know there is a timetable coming from school. So they also come and sit down. Because, see, remember one thing, you can tell the parents, you don't trust your child or what? They don't. That is why they come and sit. In a math class, of course it is possible. A discussion is possible. You've sent them a sum yesterday. You've asked them to solve 2 sums yesterday. Now you talk about how they reached that conclusion so that the children who are missing out, who are not able to do it, will be able to resolve it. You have so many things on Zoom, like I will just go to here. Yeah, 1 minute. You can use the whiteboard. I don't know, I can't see it here, but you have the whiteboard options, which you can use. And in the whiteboard, you can put a math sum, right? I'm not able to see in this, but there is a whiteboard which you can just share and you put a sum on that and let all children write on that. If you're expecting, this is discussion, this is collaboration. You cannot teach a new lesson in a virtual classroom because you're missing that. There is a difference between a face-to-face and a virtual classroom. You can probably read a story, but it's always better if you've sent it before to them because then they are able to relate and then they can say. Trust is very important. You need to trust the children. There's a very beautiful story from a beautiful book. I think the name of the book was Story of Maury. I'm sure you know it. In all training, these games are played where the people are supposed to just fall and somebody will catch you kind of thing. And everybody is scared, but this girl, Maury, she falls back and somebody catches her. So you need to trust your child. If you trust your children, that means you've taught them one very important life skill and you have won them over. I have used whiteboard. Whiteboard is an excellent tool in the Zoom class, for a math class, for a physics class. You can also, I will share with you so many things which you can do. So we'll just go back to the screen. So online netiquettes, set your rules and expectations. What exactly you want them to do? How do you want them to be in the classroom? How should they be? Now very, very important. You're a professional. You expect the children also. Now, virtual class is a professional class. The first sign of a non-professional class is when the teacher is dressed in her sleeping suit and the children are also dressed very casually. No way. You need to dress up. You need to be ready for a class. I'm ready just now for the class because you're watching me. Imagine if I'm looking all tired. Okay, we are all sitting at home, but we need to be there. It's a professional class happening. And you need to give that in the netiquette. I don't want you to tell children to wear their school dress. Yeah, small videos, whatever, that we are coming to it. But you expect them to be decently dressed. So tell them, because that way you are teaching them, you are actually sending a message to home that you are a professional. You are a professional educator. Like when you go to a doctor, he has a time, right? If the doctor closes at 6, you can't go and sit there at 7 and say, "Aren't you looking at me?" No, his shop is closed. The same way, you're a professional educator. If your class starts at 10, how can you start a class at 10:30? You can't. I've attended some of the virtual classes. Children are coming in. We will go to the test bit. Children are coming in, strolling in. Then daddy's coming on the Zoom screen to tell the teacher, oh, my kid was sleeping. What the hell? You need to send her. That is why etiquette and sending a mailer and instructions is very, very important. You must do that, and you will see the difference in your next class. Now, when we come to the intentional content, what is intention? We'll just do this, finish this, and then go to the next bit. Intentional content is the teacher decides what they are going to be learning and what students can handle on their own. So there is some material which you want the child to do it on their own, some material which you will be sharing. So you have to decide what is the intentional content. Like I've seen, if I ask all of you, like how many of you, there are 1,000 of you, right? If I tell you just now, if you have a pen and paper, please draw a house. Everybody will draw that hut, Do we live in those kind of houses? We don't live in those kind of houses. But everybody will draw the house like this. Yes or no? Yeah? Hut, yeah. I don't know from where, because we are used to that rote learning. We don't draw the typical kind of a house. We don't know. We have all done geography, but sadly enough, we don't know how to look at a map. People are standing at one, they don't know which is south and which is west. Is that the kind of education we are trying to give? And it's a fact. If you look at foreigners, they have a map and they can find themselves anywhere. Here we are stuck. We still have a habit, and thanks to GPS, I think it was made specifically keeping us in mind that at least we can look now. So what is important is you understand virtual class is giving you a plethora of opportunities to teach a lot of things, how you can do it. Yes, now we'll just go back. I want you to know one thing more, which is extremely important. You have to reflect what is important, who does what, and who is in charge. Now, what is important is the lesson. Who does what? You prepare intentional content. What will you teach and what will the child read or whatever and come. Now, who is in charge? You are in charge. But you're in charge. Your power is not to mute all. Your power is not to shut some children because they are not listening. I have handled grade 12th and 10th where children are not interested. You have to develop their interest. It takes time. It's not easy. They are adults. They will come and tell you, no, I'm not interested. Yes, they will. But you have to create that. You have to create that excitement in them. So extremely important. Another thing which is for all age groups, whatever age group you're doing, is if you look at this, okay, please look at the screen, right? And just in the chat, just write whatever you can read quickly. Whatever you can read, 30 seconds, okay? Yeah. Please write in the chat whatever you can read. Which is the first color? Which is the first color you read? Everybody read yellow, right? Somebody wrote green. Now, I didn't tell you what I wanted you to read. Did I want you to read the letters or did I want you to read the colors? This is what happens in a virtual classroom. There is a gap between what I am trying to say and what the child is perceiving, and then we get upset. So if I go back to the screen, I didn't tell you what I wanted you to read. Did I want you to read yellow, blue, orange, or did I want you to read the colors, which is green, yellow, purple, gray? So the communication is extremely important. That's why when you send them a lesson beforehand, they are, clear. Now, we just move to the next screen. This is extremely important and which can be really used in a virtual classroom. I'm not going to give you because I can't see you, so I'll just move to, you create an starter. Starter is one PPT slide which you can create and show it on the screen. Because why that is important is because all of you watch Netflix, right? You watch Netflix, right? Because you can't go to a theater right now. So how do you decide what you're going to watch. You look at the movie and then you look at the review and you read about it. And then when you open the movie or when you start viewing the movie, it's the first 30 seconds which help you decide, okay, this movie is good or this movie is bad, right? If you don't like the movie, you don't see. Exactly the same way the virtual class is. It's the first 30 seconds which is very important for you to create an impact. If you have not been able to create an impact in the first 30 seconds, I'm sorry guys, you have lost it. Because, and that you can only do, as compares ours in the past, you can only do it if you have a plan. And if you don't plan, then you're planning to fail. So planning, what is important, my objective, which should be shared with the children, that this is why I'm teaching you this lesson and this is how I'll be doing whatever age group. You need to share the objective. Because remember one thing, that a child must know why I am studying this. And a lot of time we just teach them without telling them why you need to study this. So when you send them the netiquettes, you're sending your plan, you're sending them a video of yours with whatever you're going to cover. You can send it weekly, you can send it fortnightly, whatever. If parents want to come in, create a little mailer that every Friday, don't be scared. You're welcome to come and visit my class, but I will allow only 3 parents, first come, first serve, and mute the parents. This is your opportunity to show your power. You are the boss. Mute them. They cannot speak. They can just be silent observer. Whatever questions they have, they need to come back later. They can mail you and they can reply. You must remember, you need to be confident. Why are we scared of parents watching a class? A math person, a math teacher is not expected to be the excellent in a communication or speaking in English. A Hindi teacher can never be good at that. We need to understand that. And we don't care if parents don't understand, because what is important in a science subject or in a math subject is the concepts. So you need to be very, very clear about that. Don't feel scared. But in pre-primary, parents will sit because children can't handle technology. That's why I'm saying twice a week is enough. Once a week, have a parent session where tell them this is what you need to do. Because parenting today is like they don't know what they're supposed to do. So all they can do, because they're also sitting at home, the whole day they'll find mistakes with their kids and with their school and with their teacher. So you need to tell them that how they can help. Please put on the whatever you're talking. I just want to talk to your children for just 30 minutes. That's it. You can't have longer class than that for the little ones. They lose interest. Even an adult will lose interest after some time. So very important that you have a starter. I've just got some starters. So this is something very simple. Okay, this is just to create an interest. You can write in the chat. I'm sure you all are brilliant enough. What is the odd one out? It's just 30 seconds and you're thousands of you or 995, whatever. You just have to write. Everybody starts writing in the chat, and you can have very little kind of, with children, when I said no mute, you can also give them instructions that when I ask you a question, if you want to say yes, you say this. When you want to say no, you say no. And if you haven't understood, then be like this, so that you get the message. Because remember one thing, excellent, everybody knows it. These are the 2-minute Maggie generation. They want immediate, feedback. They want immediate. If they have a question, it'll kill them if you don't allow them to question you, because they're very inquisitive. They're curious, and if they're enjoying your class, they will have a lot of questions. So how do you do that? You need to allow them to, be engaged. When you have activities like that, children get engaged. They want something to do. They can't do anything. They are sitting on the screen, right? So you need to create something engaging environment. Have a starter. So like I've got another one for you. And when adults like you are excited about it, then imagine the children. It's just whatever subject you're taking. Which of these is the odd one out? Fish, whale, crocodile, snake. You can just write whatever you want to write in the chat. I mean, what is the odd one out? D, somebody's in D, yeah. You can also say, okay, you can put 4 letters there and tell. Now, how do you collaborate in a virtual class? Please understand that collaboration is very, very important. How do you collaborate? Now, when you have 40 children or 30 children or whatever, right? You can allow them to choose their partners, maybe which can be part of your netiquette mail, that okay, choose your partner because tomorrow we are going to do an activity in which you have to work with your partner. And I did it with a group of adults where I allowed them to collaborate and gave them 4 words and said, make a story immediately. It was a starter activity. 60 children. Of course you can do it. You can have a group of 4. There will be little noise. There will be noise, but don't you want to hear children rather than you hearing your voice only? I'm dying to hear everybody's voice. It'll be an active session, yes, because virtual session, if it's not engaging, children will leave you. You might finish your curriculum. You can say, okay, fine, I've finished all chapters. I'm very good. You can give yourself a pat. But the children, have they learned anything? I don't think so. So what is our main intention? Main intention is after every 10 minutes of a virtual class, you need to make it engaging. Like you can use the whiteboard for the engagement activity. You can tell them, okay, write your partner's name here. Whatever way you want to do it. Yeah, you already do it. Excellent. Some of you are doing it. So what is important is to use all the 21st century skills. What do you suggest? I missed that question. Anyway, it'll come again because there's so many chats are going on, but I missed the question. If you remember the story of a professor, so there was this professor. You have to understand what is the main objective of my becoming a teacher and of my teaching a class. So now this professor, he had his ex-students visiting him, so he took out his best crockery and served them coffee. Some were gold cups, silver cups, crystal cups, some were broken cups, or some were kullhad, what you call it. And he gave it to them. Now everybody rushed for the gold cup, rushed for the ornamental cup. Although the purpose of everything was to have the coffee. But that is what is happening. We are rushing for things which we might not understand. We're trying to do things which we don't understand. Don't do things which you don't understand because you will not be yourself in a virtual classroom. If I am not a digital person, but you have a lot of digital resources, I know. You have memes, you have whiteboards, you have a lot of things which you can use. But what is very important in a virtual class, the most important person is a teacher. If you do not create an engaging class, then all the tools are going to be useless. They might see it, they might watch it, they might get excited, but are they learning anything? Now, hyperactive and a special child, how do you interact with them? You have to create a one-on-one chat box with them. You have I don't know which platform you use, but you even have separate rooms where you can talk to the child while you have given other children a work. Give them engaging things to be done. You have to think. Nobody can think for you. Because there is no set process like this is the way you have to do it. I can give you ideas, but how you innovate on them depends on you because everybody's class is different. How can we make our English class enjoyable? So I did a class with which class are you talking about? Is it the pre-primary, primary, senior, middle? What class? You can read a story, and if you're taking class grade 1, right, that's very exciting. So if I'm going to read a story, let's say, and when I say the animal name, the children are supposed to take out the sound. So I met a lion. The children say, oh, whatever. And the lion met a donkey. They will all make a noise. You are allowing them to release their energy. In grade 3, give them interesting questions to ask, the starter. So if you have already sent your plan earlier, if they already know what they're going to be doing, you can create a questionnaire which you can ask them on screen and tell them that this is what is, okay, so you read the story. Okay, what did you find most interesting? Let everybody speak. Let them do role play. Of course, you can do role play in a virtual class, Hindi class. Of course, it is enjoyable. It all depends on your plan. Say 9, 10, 11. How do you make it interesting? Only discussions. If you don't do discussions in a grade 12, create that excitement for them to read whatever you have sent them because at that age, they need to be self-sufficient. and use the virtual classroom for resolving their problems. Okay, what problems you have. Now they can write that on the whiteboard, or they can make a PPT and share a screen with you so that every child is seeing, because some other children might have that problem, and then you resolve it. You share it with them. So what is important is that you need to have a starter activity, whatever age group, for the children to be engaged. This 30 seconds in the start of a class is very, very important. Like, write a paragraph which contains these words. Can you write it on the chat? Mischief, tolerate, practical, cheeseburger. Just write it on the chat. What do you see? Can two of you at least write a story? Just create one sentence. I'll give you 30 seconds for that. Okay. I'm a social studies person, so could you make a story? Now, when you give a starter activity like that, the children get very excited. Even in the pre-primary, you can have a starter activity where you can put picture. What do you call, and you can read out, what is this lady called who lived with 7 dwarfs? Or what is this person called? That is a start. Oh, mama, this is Snow White. They don't need a dad there. The dad should just open the screen and then go off, because rest is all. The mischief child had a burger. Excellent, Raveen Hamza. You need to create that excitement. I find even in the real classroom, the teacher goes to the class and says, okay, let's study. You've already killed the excitement. You need to create. And you can tell the children, whatever, if it's a senior class, that you put it in the chat, your questions, and I'm going to get back to you because I want to finish. I've got 35 minutes. And we are going to come back to you. So what happens is the children, you are giving them an opportunity to talk. You're giving them an opportunity to interact. If you tell them, no, you're not going to ask any questions, you've lost it. And then you must make it a point to reply to them. You must make it a point that is very important. So we'll just go back to the screen. Then what is very important after this is, the plenary. The plenary is very important. If you have to, how do you end a class? It is extremely important. But virtual class ending is very important. You do a recap, or you can do, how do you do online immediate assessment? One is you ask the questions. Okay, after every formative assessment, as we call it, after every 10 minutes, because you cannot, the adult, even as an adult, if you sit for 20 minutes and I don't give you any activity, you're going to get bored and sleep off, and some will go off, right? But what is important is that you create that excitement in the child after every 10-15 minutes. You ask them questions. You ask them, okay, did you understand? How was it? Good, bad, or not good? And if they say it's this, it's all right. Make a note of that. Remember to reach out to the child later and say, okay, raise your hands, do this, whatever you want to do it. It is important that you have some activities which you can only do when you have a plan. You might get tired, you might have 6 classes, you might get very tired, but I don't think so. If you're passionate about it, which you all said, and you're very excited about it and you love the kids, that you're going to get tired. So you need to be upbeat about that. You need to be, I have been sitting in front of the Zoom since morning and I am not tired. You can see my energy. But it is important that you make yourself energized. So when you do end a class, it is extremely important that you have a plenary. How do we do online assessment? I want to talk about that. There is too much net problem. Yeah, that you can't help it. In the technical bit, you cannot help it. That is something beyond your control. So you have to stop getting hassled about it. You have to not get troubled about it. Some children might have a network flow. That's why I'm saying you can send a recording. How do you check that? You cannot give them the same kind of work as you're doing in a real class, right? How will you check it? I understand the children need to write, the children do that continuously. But during an online class, what you need to do is, one thing I forgot to tell you is when you send the children a plan, understand what is the length of the plan which you want. Like for the younger kids, it should be not more than 10 minutes. For the middle school, not more than 15 to 20 minutes. And for the senior children, not more than 35 to 40 minutes, whatever you want them to read. And it's a very good idea to increase their knowledge, to give them something exciting. Like when there was a history teacher. Now, I must share with you, the children are all watching the COVID-19 worldometer, but they don't know the number of countries. So you need to make them aware of that. You need to make them understand what are the different things happening in the world. So when you send them, if you want to send them a newspaper cutting to the senior children to read, then you all have cameras on your phone. Then click a picture and you edit it so that only the first line is visible, and tell them that, okay, you can go and read this, so that they are encouraged to read. You're not giving too much to them. You are just creating a little base for them to read. And that is what is important. You need to, I didn't get you, Sunny, to everyone. What was your question? I didn't hear it, Sunny, so you'll have to write it again. There is something happening. We'll deal with your question answers, I think, in the last 30 minutes. And you need to now listen to what I'm trying to say. So you have to understand that how do I make sure that the child is engaged? Very important, netiquettes. I'm again repeating because teachers forget that. Send them that. Let the parents also know what you plan to teach. Send them the videos. My question was that how to send videos. You can send it via email. If you're creating, as many students have internet problem, if your students have internet problem, well, that is for your school to see, because that is something, it's a technical problem, right? But you can use your phone. If you're creating WhatsApp group of your children, pose an interesting question, engaging question every day morning to them. Write something exciting, which leads to discussion when you start your class, and you can start your class, okay, or you can have question for the week, where you put a very interesting question, okay, so how many countries are there in the world, or whatever age group you're dealing with, you want to put a chemistry question, and that can be discussed over a week for 5 minutes in your classes. So when you begin your class, address each student by their name so that they know that you're listening to them, engage them. I share the link of my video uploaded on YouTube and WhatsApp group. Great, you can give puzzles to solve. There are so many things which you need to, do it. So you must understand, but first and foremost, what is my main intention of taking the session? That you'll be only able to make a virtual class impactful if you have confidence in yourself. So as a teacher, you need to get up and some ideas for brainstorm. Yes, right. Like, you can create you can create a PPT, you can post some pictures and ask them to discuss. You can have like 4 pictures and say, okay, what do you think? There's a morning picture, evening picture, sunset, sunrise. Okay, what do you think is your mood right now? And we have a discussion which will help you understand what is the thought process which is going on in the child's mind. Evaluation techniques for higher classes, right? This is what I'm coming to. Now, how do we assess? One is formative assessment, in which you can use different tools. You can say, thumbs up, thumbs down. You can use different kind of things to understand. You can write question on the whiteboard and see their level of understanding, which will give you immediately. You can have quizzes. You can have polls, which are so easy to create. You can create a poll, and then that can be reflected on the Excel, which is so easy. If you go on Google, it's so easily available, and you put it up in the next class and let the children see, and there can be a discussion on that how did you fare and what was the challenges? Why did you not perform this? Now, what very important is, how do we address the children? How do we get feedback? So assessment is a tool which needs to be in the virtual class. What is most important is formative assessment, because the other assessment you can do, you're using Google Forms, excellent. You have a lot of those tools available. But what is very important is formative assessment during the class, to be able to understand that each and every child is understanding what you are trying to teach them. And how to do authentic assessment, that's what I'm saying. If you create a quick formative kind, if you create a polls, but if you want to do a formal kind of assessment, you're giving them some questions and you're asking them to write them down, right? Especially in the senior classes, because they will, and they can refer to the book. You are not there at their homes, right? So you have to trust them. You have to give them something which is out, think of something creative, which will help you to think that they have not just copied from the books, but they are thinking on their own and writing. And tell them, and then you can ask them. The best way to encourage creativity in how do you reply is when you have a discussion. So if you have a question about whatever subject you are teaching, ask them to have a discussion with some children who write well. But when those papers come to you, because children are going to mail you, it is very easy for you to assess them. It will need time, but then you have to find time. And let me tell you, hardworking people always have time. It's the lazy people who don't know how to manage time. Time management is very, very important. How do you manage that? How do you make sure that you have the appropriate time for everything? So first and foremost, you need to prioritize. What is your priority as a teacher? My priority as a teacher is that I need to take the class, I need to do the assessment, I need to check the notebooks, I need to make sure that the child gets it back. But in a formative assessment, it's very important in a virtual class where you're giving them the feedback right there and then, whatever discussions, role plays, whatever you are doing. You cannot tell them, okay, whatever I've taught, I'll come back next week and then we'll discuss. They would have lost it by then. Because understand, they are really, really stressed out. They are at home. They are sitting at home. They don't have the same environment as a school. They are also as tensed as you are. They are not understanding what is happening. So you need to understand and wear those green glasses and understand. Now there is this guy who's got I'm telling you a lot of stories so that you can relate to it. This guy is having a lot of problem in his eye. He's a billionaire. So he goes to a lot of doctors and he says, you treat me because I'm not able to see. And he's got a lot of severe eye pain. His eyes are watering, whatever. The doctor says, okay, your eye pain will go off if you see everything which is green. Okay. Now he's a billionaire. He comes back, he orders his men, he paints the entire room green. They paint everything green, whatever is around him. Now, everything is green around him, right? The table, the chair, the bed, the garden, everything is painted green so that he can never see any other color because they say the green will make his eyes all right. Now, when this guy, the learned man who has given him this remedy, comes to visit his house, he's wearing a red, whatever you call it, the dress. Now, when the servant sees it, he quickly runs and tells him that I have to paint you green because otherwise his eye will get spoiled. But then this wise man says that instead of painting the entire thing green, all he needed was to wear green glasses, tinted glasses. He would have anyway seen everything green. What is important to understand that when you're dealing with kids, are you a smart teacher? You have to give them their feedback right there and then. They want to know, okay, so I have had a discussion. How do we need to take feedback? Yes, you take a feedback, create little forms, small forms where you can say, I liked it, I didn't like it, and be open to when children say, I didn't understand, it's all right. You have to give them the opportunity to let them say what they want to say. So what is important is that I'll just go back to the screen and I'll just go back to that where we were. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, online assessment. So there are a lot of tools available for online assessment which you can use. But what I am talking about, those are easily available. You have, digital books so which you can use it. But what is important is how do I give an assessment right there and then in a virtual classroom. So you create Excel sheets, you can create graphs and give them. You can have lot of ways where you are giving them, but online assessment, the feedback is very, very important during a class. So you need to ensure it's not like an actual class, it's a virtual class. If you do not give them immediate feedback, you're going to lose them very fast. Flipped classroom, we have already spoken. Collaborate, I told you that how you can collaborate. Collaboration is very, very important because when you make the children collaborate, they learn. There's something called peer learning. They learn from each other. And if you do not give them that environment, if you do not allow them to speak to each other, then you will not be able to, you won't achieve your objective, which is the most important thing for you as a teacher, that I need to be able to tell the children that, and what are the life skills? You're teaching them collaboration. You know how many adults, how many teachers collaborate, right? We are not taught. It is not in our blood. It is not in our system. We do not know how to collaborate. We are skeptical. We don't want to share our lesson plan. No, it's mine. As if, no. And the more we collaborate, the more we learn from each other. So how do you lay the foundation for that? You lay the foundation for that from the childhood, where you allow the children to collaborate. So collaboration is very much possible. Don't think of a noisy classroom. Don't think of children creating noise. But if you don't do collaboration, you will fail as a teacher, because children are dying to talk to each other. They're seeing each other after a long time. They want to talk to each other. Okay, how are you, Tessera? You're looking nice. How are you, Pyari? Whoever name I can see, I'm just taking those names at random. But they want to talk to each other. So allow them to do that. Let's just go back and create excitement. So how do we create excitement in a virtual class? By having a great starter, by sending a plan beforehand, so that the children are able to know what they are going to be expecting from Monday to Friday when you are teaching them. They already know that. So there is a sense of excitement. How you create that excitement, every teacher is different. I can give you strategies, but they may suit some person, they may not suit. But how do you create? That's what I said. Create a video in your voice, in your sound. But even if you're teaching grade 8 and 9, just create a positive message and send it to the child. Listen, I think you did not read it, or observing secretly shares. You have to be very strict to parents. Parents cannot be in the classroom, even if they are secretly observing. Have that attitude, I don't care. Because you're not teaching them. Why are you so paranoid? That's why I said netiquette is very important. Send them a message that this is what you're supposed to do, and you cannot do this. You cannot come on the Zoom class, sir, because I'm there to teach your children, not you. If you send it in a fun way, polite way, I think every parent understands. We are not talking about those 10% parents who never understand. Forget about them. But I think 90% parents understand when you send them a little mailer. The problem is we don't communicate. We don't tell them. We are not telling them what we expect. And we react. So most of the time we are reacting to a situation. We suddenly see a father on the Zoom and we get paranoid. We should not be reacting. We should be prepared for a situation like that. So send a little mailer. Sir, if you want to come and be in the class, you're only allowed on Friday for this. This is a form you need to fill up. And you put in the form, why I want to attend the class, what is the reason, okay? Once you get, you get the, what is the background, what is in his mind, his or her, what is in their mind. And you need to have a one-to-one with parents who are really, really skeptical of you, because if they don't trust you, I just did a session with parents in the morning, and I told them that if you are sitting next to your child and your child is attending a virtual class, his attention will be on you rather than on the class, and he will not learn anything. This is your opportunity to mute the parents. And if they come on the class, with the little ones, you can always have every 15 days a virtual class for parents where you can tell them how you can help me, and use it not as a meeting, put it nice terminology, that how can you support me in teaching your children, which matter to me the most, because the basic thing is for you as well as for the parent, what is more important is the child. The child is the most important. So you need to be, but for preschool, they're always there. So why you do, I feel that twice a week is enough for children. You don't need to hold a pre-primary class every day. I think it's too much for the little ones because they are tiny. I'm talking about 2 years and 3 years, where you send them little things, ask parents to send you little videos, which you can upload, tell them to do a lot of drawings, tell them to be creative. This is a time to encourage creativity. Kindergarten, maybe 3 times in a week. I would not suggest more than that, because these are young kids. I mean, what about number of classes for 9 to 12, ma'am? 9 to 12 need to give in more time. So maybe like 4 hours in a day, I think, depending on how your timetable is spaced out. How do you do correction work? Suggest some ways. Correction work is one thing which teachers always hate. I mean, I as a teacher, I love teaching, but I hate correcting, right? We all do it. But correction is very, very important. So when they're sending you work from mail, I think it's very, very easy for you because you're checking it on the mail and sending it. They're not doing it on a notebook now, right? So when they are sending, of course, you have to find the time. Time is very important. So I want to tell you why time is precious. If you calculate, I have a little calculation and you can do it on your this thing to understand the value of time. If you say that you don't have time for correction, I don't believe it. I mean, we have to find time because how to take test on meeting? I didn't understand that. Because what is important is that when you give them any written work and they send it to you, right, on an email, it is your duty to check them. This is the job which you selected, and correction is a part of it. If you do not, and I don't like corrections where teachers put big ticks. Now that thing is all lost. It has to be done all virtually. You can put nice things. So one school is giving Thursday so they can see the parents' number dropped off. Yes, excellent. You need to talk to them. You need to give the parents, because now it's very easy. You have to set a time limit because parents sometimes don't understand. And please try and put yourself in their shoes, because for them, their child is the most important thing. So they think from their angle. Once you understand that, you will be able to understand a parent. But you have to, how to invigilate them during test. You can only give them an online test, where you have the tools, I'm sure, where they do a test online and you can, you are there. Because the virtual testing is bringing up one important life skill, that is trust. You need to trust your children. That how much, suppose a child is cheating. Let me ask you. I mean, your main thing is that they are doing the work. What about the number of days classes should be there for high school students? High school students should be there every day, I think. Every day. Children will cheat. Why do they, even if they cheat, they are learning something, right? And it's not possible for you to be there in each house. So you have to understand, you have to build that thing in them, that somebody is writing, there are some lot of digital aids which are available, right? You can create a testing, the multi MCQs are so easy to create on a Google, and you send it to them where they have to answer it quickly and then only they can move to the next one. You need to create that. But what is very important at this moment is, you need to remember that you have to focus on the life skills. Stop focusing so much on the knowledge bit. You need to give them the wisdom also. What is knowledge? Knowledge is that tomato is a fruit. What is wisdom? Wisdom is that you cannot make a fruit chart with a tomato. You have to help the children. So if suppose they are cheating, haven't we all cheated in our life? Tell me. Somewhere or the other, we've all done it. You have to trust them, but you expect them to do their work. Now, when a child is doing the work, how do you move away? These are tactics which you need to work on. How do you move away a child from copying something? How do you move? That's what I said. You have to understand the 3 pointers which I mentioned first. How do children learn? Children learn with their relationship with you. If they have a good relationship with you, if they idolize you, they will listen to you. They will listen to you. They will understand. You cannot tell them cheating is wrong. They are seeing all around. The big children are reading the newspaper. Every second, one is cheating. How do you create? You have to tell them how it can be harmful to them. You have to tell them the logical reasoning. But you cannot tell them, no, this is wrong, this is correct. They will not hear that. They don't want to hear. They don't want a moral lecture. They want you to tell them a reason. If I'm not allowed to do this, why I should not do, how will it harm me as a child? So very, very important that in a virtual class, it is extremely important that you make it engaging, You create excitement. I'm just going to go back to the screen. Feedback, I've already told you that you need to give immediate feedback. If you don't give the immediate feedback, it is lost. It's just like, some of you are saying that time, I don't know how to manage time. But then everybody has 24 hours. Like if you calculate, I'm just giving a little example. If you take a lifespan of a person as 75 years, I've done some calculation for you to tell you how much time you have. If you take a lifespan, okay, let's say 75 years, 365 into 75 is 27,375 days. You take out 52 Sundays and 52 Saturdays, that takes out another 3,900 days. Public holidays, another 1125 days. You take out casual leaves, okay, all of us take, another 1,500 days. You sleep 8 hours in a day, you eat 2 hours, you travel 1 hour. When you calculate, when you minus all the number of days, the number of days left, what is the time left? 2 hours per day. So what is important? How do I prioritize my time? I need to take a virtual class. I need to give them feedback. I need to do an assessment. I need to plan properly. But this is part of our profession. We cannot let it go. We cannot, if you go unplanned for a virtual class, it'll be very boring. Children will not be engaged. You will not be able to create that excitement. So you need to create that excitement. And you need to first start taking care of yourself. You know the story of a guy. So this guy is building somebody's house with this fellow, the contractor, as I may call it, he's building this billionaire's house. So once the contractor's going by a truck, so his truck gets spoiled. So the billionaire says, okay, I'll drop you home. So he goes to drop the contractor. So he notices the contractor, naturally, when he reaches home, he tells this billionaire, why don't you come and meet my family? He said, okay, I'll come and meet your family. So when the billionaire is watching, the contractor, what he does is, before he enters his house, he touches some tree which is outside the house. He goes inside. The billionaire also goes inside. They have tea. And then they come out. And again, this guy touches the tree. So the billionaire is very confused. What are you doing? So he asks him that, what exactly were you doing? He said, when I go inside the house, I leave my worries. And the next day when I come out, ready to go back to work, I find those worries have gone. So as a teacher, what is very important is you cannot get stressed out. You are supposed, that is our profession. We need to give the energy to the children. We need to create. And how do I make it? I've been speaking to you for 1.5 hours, right? How do you think, did you think you got bored? Or do you think you were engaged, right? I am open to feedback because it's very important. Your voice modulation in a virtual class, how do you connect with those children? Addressing them with their names, not muting them, letting them talk. If I could see you all, I would have done a lot of more activities. I did it in a group. I'll just tell you. I told the people to close, you can do it with children, to teach them the concept of time. I told that you close your eyes and open it after 30 seconds. Now, most of and I said, I'm not going to tell you when to open. Now, most of the people open their eyes. Everybody will open at different time. You can do it with the children. You can do it with adults. Why? Because everybody's concept of time is different. We think this is very important. For us, cooking is very important. Oh my God, I need to clean my house. We forget for us, teaching is very important. How do I create that? Breathing exercise, excellent. Do that online to teach them. If I could see you, I would have done that activity with you, which I do. Everybody says, oh, I listen to my child. But we don't listen. We only hear them. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? So we should hear more and speak less. As a teacher, you are a facilitator. You cannot be talking more in a virtual class because it becomes boring. You need to allow them to talk. Allow the children. Let them question you. A lot of kids don't know about COVID-19. let me tell you honestly, they're not aware fully. Like some children says, are we going to die? What will happen? You need to tell them. That is your responsibility. It's our, responsibility that we need to tell the children the correct knowledge. You know, you're better than a parent because you know how to communicate to a child. That is what we are good at. We are good at dealing with children. We know how to tell them. We know how to make them understand. We are not good at dealing with parents. We are not here to teach parents. I don't think so any of you have done any course where they teach us how do you teach parents, right? We didn't do that. So you need to understand, that's why besides all the digital tools which you have access to, very, very important in a virtual class, whatever rest you do, I am very happy. But what is important, etiquettes, planning, engaging, instant feedback is extremely important. Hey, you did very well. I loved what you said. Even if the child is saying wrong, to create that excitement, use whiteboards for math, for science diagrams. You can do that. Those are very simple tools which you can use. You can use, you can use this. There is a reaction here, which you can just give a clap to some children. Everybody, how does it make a difference? If you clap for everybody, those children are already stressed out. You allow them to be. And I want to end because I think it's 4:30, right? I want to end with a beautiful story which I really love, and I love telling that story because it's in my heart. Be a teacher because I really want people to respect us. I really want people to understand the kind of effort each one of you is putting in to bring about a change in the society. You're not even realizing your own value. And that is what my last slide also says. And I want to show you that, and I want you to read it because that is extremely, extremely important. Do we make a difference? Absolutely. Every day, whether we know it or not, what kind of difference you have to ask yourself you want to make today in the lives of my students, my colleagues, my profession, my parents. It's extremely, extremely important. And what I want to tell you in the end is the story of my favorite story of how people react, how sometimes as teachers we react. But remember, I want you to be the coffee. So there is there's a girl who's having a lot of family problems. So she goes to her dad and she says, well, I'm very unhappy. Please go back to the slide, ma'am. Of course I will. She goes back. She's very unhappy. So the father takes her to the kitchen and he puts 3 bowls for boiling. In one he puts the egg, in the second he puts the carrot, and third he puts the coffee. And what happens to the egg when it is boiled? It becomes hard from outside and soft from inside, right? It is, so some people, when they get stressed out, time management, stress management, they become hard from outside. So they become very aggressive, but they're very soft from inside, like we teachers are. Some people are like carrots. They just, what happens to the carrot? It just withers away in hot water. They are not able to handle. But I want you to be like the coffee. What does the coffee does when it falls in a boiling water? It changes the color of the parent and changes the aroma of the room. And that is what as a teacher you are. You change the attitude of a child. You are the one the child idolizes after parent. You are like a surrogate mother. You have to be like a coffee where you make a difference. If we put an effort, of course we will make a difference. Who said we won't? We do make a difference, knowingly, unknowingly, and there's nothing called bad teacher, poor teacher, good teacher. Everybody is good. Please give yourself a big pat at the back, and thank you all so much. And I'll hand over to now.
Shalini. So, thank you so much. But there are certain questions. I believe Navinder is going to put it up, and then you have to take because it's, yeah. So Navinder, over to you for the questions, please.
Yeah, Navinder.
Navinder, are you reading the questions, please?
Yeah, Veena. Thank you so much, Shalini ma'am, for this insightful sessions, and it was great having you here. Lot of ideas, small things, small tips, which will make our session very interactive. I hope we have got feedback from the teachers. You were busy with the engaging the teachers, but I was seeing all my feedbacks which are coming here. It was very good session that we all have heard from you. But when there are few sessions, the questions that there are, and which we would like you to, answer to the teachers. First of all, the major thing that the teacher have asked is about the assessments. How do we take online assessments, and how do we monitor our children when they are doing the online assessments? So this is the majorly, question that we have come from the teachers here.
So I would like to say, without naming anything, there are a lot of online tools which are available for assessment, right? And if they go on that, if they search for them, because I don't want to advertise any particular tool, but I have gone through the assessment tools. They are very handy. So what happens is the questionnaire goes to the children, or if they are doing in an online class, the children are answering, it immediately comes back to them. If it's a short answer question, it's very easy to assess because it gives you even the graph, it gives you in the form of an Excel, so you have an idea where each child is and you waste less time. And the other way, because the main purpose is we cannot do away, even in the virtual sessions or in this not a very normal situation, with the children writing, because there are at the moment till CBSE decides how they're going to change. So how do we do that? I think the best way, which I would suggest, because teachers really find it a challenge when if they are handling 50 kids or 40 kids, if 40 papers come in the same day, because they have their own household work and all that. I think the most important thing is if they make a timetable and share with the kids that, okay, 10 kids send on Monday, 10 kids send on Tuesday. They have a strategy, because assessment is important. Whatever they are teaching, if they are not assessing, they will not be able to know what is the level of the child. But I think those, at the moment, what is really useful is the MCQs. Because to understand, and we are moving towards that, where the MCQs will give you an idea what is the level of understanding of a child of a particular concept, and then how you can plan your next lesson in the next week. So I think it's very simple, but they're very simple tools. If you go on Google, it's very simple tools for assessment. Or I don't, because I could do it. It's not very difficult. You just create the questionnaire, send it to the kids. It comes back and it creates a graph. It creates an Excel. It's so easy to see, and that they can share it with the whole class when they have a discussion to talk about it. To talk about the questions where without naming the kids, because it gives you in different forms. So you can say, okay, as a class, you did very well in these questions, but these questions you were below. So in a virtual class, you cannot identify two kids who are not performing well and start, creating, demeaning them. You can't do that in a virtual class. It's very difficult, because remember, we don't know who all are watching, and it's not good. It's not the right way. So what you need to do is probably create a class graph and understand the level of the class, where they are lacking, and then work on that in which they are lacking. That's what I think is very useful.
So another question, ma'am, that we have got here is, how do we make our grammar classes more interesting and interactive?
Grammar is great fun, right? I think grammar is something, unless you make it interesting, it's going to be very boring, because you don't teach grammar and grammar separately. It's part of the language, right? So you need to create, like I shared that starter activity with you. You can create a lot of those small single slide PPT, which doesn't take much time, and where the children understand and are able to use the terms, whatever grammar you want to teach them, how you want to define them. Because there are even creating a PPT now, there are a lot of, you can add video, you can add audio, but only thing which they have to remember is nothing should be longer. If you're showing a video, if you're showing a PPT, there's something called death by PowerPoint, which is like, if I was to show for whole 1.5 hour, one PPT, they would have got bored. You have to keep coming back, closing it, coming back. So that is very important. And I think, so if they can create those kinds of, grammar is an excellent language. They can, tell them to, whatever class, I don't know which class they're talking about. I'm sure they're talking about the primary class. Yeah, primary classes. So like, let's say we are teaching adjectives. Start by addressing each child with one adjective, like Navinder, you are beautiful, Pyari, your dress is whatever, attractive. So when you use these words, because grammar has to be picked up, it can't be taught. Nobody, I don't remember, we had Wren and Martin at our times, but I think the grammar is picked up in the language. So I think that way it is very important. And then you teach them the laws and the rules, whatever you have to do it, because I know those are very important and for the teacher to explain. But I think you can create songs. There are a lot of grammar songs, excellent grammar songs available online, which you can just go, they're all free to download, so I can share some with you, and if you want, you can share with the teachers. Yeah.
Ma'am, next question is some tips and strategies for our senior students, especially grade 9 to 12.
See, 9 to 12 is a very senior, they have a lot of distractions, right? One is COVID-19, then the advantage that suddenly, see, look at their mindset. Till now, people were telling them no phones to school, and parents were saying, don't sit on the computer. Now suddenly everybody is saying, no, sit on the computer. You attend the classes. So they have a lot of distractions. They can go to a lot of sites. There is a lot of cyberbullying also happening. There's a lot of things which are happening. I think what is very important, the teachers in 9 to 12 have a very, very important role to play at this time. It's not about technology. It's not about what you are teaching. But I think more importantly, because these children do not know how to handle cyberbullying or even the virtual classes. They are, they are very excited. Like one parent had written, my kid is lying down with the phone and attending the class. So as I said, the netiquette is very important. 9 to 12. Do not permit them if they are doing that. And then talk on one-to-one with them. Because it's very, very important that we understand. See, they are very excited. This group is very excited because suddenly they can be online. They can tell their dad the whole day we are on online class, hame ma'am ne homework bheja, whatever. So now it is a time to give them the life skills, talk to them in any lesson you do, and it has to be very engaging for this age group because their attention span is lesser because they have so many other things which they can do online. You wouldn't even know, like I can put the one kid had done, he put his picture and he was busy on his mobile. So I think the teachers need to be very smart on this. And if you notice such a thing, it is very important to talk to that kid because after all, the kid is our responsibility.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this, ma'am. The next question that we have is how do we deal with hyperactive students and special needs students?
See, what is important is in a virtual class, like hyperactive students are students who are dying to talk. They want to be, but in a virtual class, they're not able to move. And they can't sit for so long. See, they will be wanting to get up, right? They want to go. Now, parents don't understand. So the children are going through also a double pressure. One is parental pressure because parent is now a teacher at home. Teacher is teacher. So they're getting pressure from both sides. So with a hyperactive child, I think it's a very good idea when you're taking a class. Tell him that after 10 minutes, he can go and take a walk because that's something really helps. Go and take a walk and come back. It's all right. If he's not going to miss much. And the special needs children, I think you need to understand what is the need which is there. Is it autistic? Is it dyslexia? Because unless you are able to tell me what is the particular need, you will not be able to deal with them. So once you know what is their need, you know what is the kind of things they would require, how you can help them is very, very important. But they need individual attention. You cannot, sometimes teach them. They just come for, you must understand in a virtual class, if a child is a special needs kid, is there for the social connect. But I think like we do it, you create an individualized lesson plan, you create different worksheets for them if they're children with special needs. I think the same thing will continue even in a virtual class. You cannot teach them the same way and say, okay, I've got the results because they are different. They need help.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. So the next question here is that how do we give some role play techniques to our students, especially for the language classes and for the social study classes?
The role play is like you're sending them earlier See, children are missing the social connect with the teacher, school, right? That is what they're really, really missing. So what is important is when you're sending them a plan beforehand, you also create little groups in that, because you already know your children, right? So it doesn't take long. You create groups, tell them to pick up their characters, and the next day when they come, they can in a 6th, 7th, 8th, they can each talk about that character and do the role play. Okay, whatever they are, if it's a story, it's a poem, because role play can be done very fantastically in a virtual class. It's very, very simple. Because virtual class, as I said, you cannot, I don't think so, you can start a new lesson. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I may be wrong, but I feel it is more about discussion. What I've done with you, if you've read it, then let's discuss. So role plays can be used in different ways, where you give them a topic, or if you want to encourage something engaging, okay, let's do a role play on this. What did you do? So each one can pick up a character and then they can, enact, or they can sing, or they can, whatever they want to do. Give them the choice.
So, ma'am, there's a lot of query from our primary teachers. It is about the intervening by the parents into the Zoom sessions or the virtual sessions.
You have to, I can do a 4-hour session on handling the parents because you need to know that parents have to be told. First thing, stop getting scared of them. Second, be confident of yourself. You are the best. You are teachers, you know how to teach, you're also a human being, you're also stressed out, you can make errors, and you're allowed that. I don't think so a teacher needs to be, technically all the time 100% correct. I might have made an error during this session, I don't know. So, but it is fine, we are human beings. But what is very important, that you need to send continuously mailers to parents. This is what I expect. This is what I expect. This is how you should be. If you don't inform them, then you can't cry later on. So it's better to inform them beforehand. Share with the plan with the children, but it'll go to the parents' mail. So the parents are reading, they're aware what you are. We should listen to parents rather reacting to their query. I didn't get that question. But yeah, I'm not saying you listen to the parents. Yes, you listen to the parents, what they are saying. But I think you need to not get confused. What is your focus? Your focus is the child. It is not the parent. We are not trained to teach parents. Sorry, if I had a group of 60 parents, I'll go crazy. We are not trained. We are trained to teach kids. And we do that very well. And that is what I think the main thing is. Should a teacher give explanation to parents? Of course not. You don't have to explain how I'm teaching, but that's what I said. See, parents are inquisitive, right? So what you have to do is, you can have every Friday, I allow 4 parents to come in my class. That's it. And mute them and give them the rules. Sir, you will be on mute. You're not supposed to ask any questions. If you have any question, you can please mail us and we'll get back to you. But at that time, see, like when I'm taking a session, if I keep looking at the chats, I'll forget, my flow of thoughts will get broken. I will get lost. So what is very important is you allow them, because they have little kids, they are keen, they want to know what's happening, they don't want children on screen time, they have others fear. So I think the best way is that every Friday or every Thursday, okay, I'll allow 6 parents or 5 parents and you'll be on mute. Please, even tell them, switch off stop your camera also, so we don't see you, right? Because that's the best way. You just want to hear what we are doing? Most welcome. Be confident about it. You don't have to get scared, I think.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The last question for this session today is, I know you have spent a lot of time and I think you should have a glass of water.
No, I'm fine. I've been talking since morning. I had a large group of parents.
Okay. So, ma'am, the last question here is that we also have principals and senior, management people into our group in today's session. So, HODs are there, supervisors are there. So they just want to know, how do we motivate our teachers during this time? They are, working almost double the hour of what they have been doing in schools. Fantastic work by the teachers, but still, how do we motivate our teachers and how do we give them the appreciation?
See, I want to tell you, so I did a little session for the leadership, right? And I think it's a very, very important thing about teachers and coordinators, about motivating their teachers. because teachers are stressed out. They have a lot of pressure, not only from the students, but from the parents, from all angles. And they have their own household work, their husbands, their in-laws. I mean, you have a lot of things. So it is extremely important then to motivate them. What is very important as a leader is, I think, to, again, the same philosophy, like one-on-one, call up, you know, even if you have like 200 teachers, I have done it, you call up at least 2 teachers every day and find out how they are. Just your words, just your sound encourages them. Do not demotivate them if they go wrong. Like a parent says that, okay, her pronunciation was wrong. Now you should stand by your teacher. A math teacher cannot have a good pronunciation, or a PE teacher cannot have a good English, right? They're not expected to have. So you need to stand by your teachers, and you need to continuously energize them, you know, sending them small, like, you know, little things which you can help them, because you can't go to their homes right now. And, you know, talking to them is something which gives them a lot of energy. Like if my CEO, suppose I was working and my CEO calls up, it gives me a different aha moment. Oh, wow, he called up. Even if it's just 2 minutes, he says, okay, hi Shalini, how are you feeling? I hope you're good. You know, my ex-CEO called up, and I was so excited for the next 1 hour. I was so energized. I forgot everything, because just the thought of a leader calling is something which gives teachers a big aha moment. So I think there are a lot of other strategies I wish I could tell, but I think your time is short. But leadership is very, very important right now, because you are the person who can actually motivate teachers, you know, so when, another thing, when you go on a virtual class, when you're auditing a class, put your camera and this thing on mute. Because for a teacher, it's, you know, like when you observe a real class, you're sitting in a corner, so the teacher is focused on the children. But in a Zoom class, what happens? Suddenly in the middle, you'll have one principal or coordinator, or suppose my CEO comes right now, I'm going to get nervous seeing his face. So the best is to, you know, and whatever you have observed, when you give feedback, give with suggestions, not what you haven't done, but this can be done like this also. Giving them ideas is very, very important, because teachers, I think, are good. They have knowledge, but they need ideas. So my feedback strategy has always been, wow, you did a fantastic class. But I think, what do you think? Ask her only that if you added this, do you think it'll be better? Putting the credit, everything on her. And I think at this moment, very important to take the responsibility. You know, like leadership is a very, very tough position to be in. I know, especially during this time with parents making all hoo-ha all over. I've written a huge post on that also. But very important that when everything goes right, my teachers are responsible. But if everything goes wrong, I'm responsible, and deal with the parents. I think that's very important, because we are doing a commendable job. The teaching fraternity needs to be really clapped. You know, it's hats off.
Actually, ma'am,
I would people like I'll be honest. I mean, like at my age, I mean, I am learning so many things, like assessment. That's how I learned. I'm going online, you know, learning. We're all learning. So it's a big challenge for us. We're not used to it. We were taught in our whatever training we did to teach children in a classroom, you know, use a smartphone. Suddenly everything has fallen on us, and we are making an effort. And I think every teacher is, you know, it's commendable.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It is your enriching experience, your different roles that you have been taking into the education, that you have given us an insight into small things, big things. And I would request all my participants who are sitting at their room, please write down 3 takeaways which you are going to implement from tomorrow, definitely in your virtual classroom. Even my management and my senior principals and vice principal, please 3 takeaways that you are going to do with your teachers, motivate them. Thank you so much, ma'am.